welcome back to the Cabbage Patch. I'm Dad.
I'm Tommy. And I'm Gus.
And what did we do today?
We played Bosk.
Bosk.
The name of that one bounty hunter from Star Wars?
Sort of, yeah. So Bosk is a game for 2 to 4 players. It's about placing trees in a national forest.
And squirrels.
And leaves and squirrels. And scoring. And the way the game takes place over 4 seasons, although it's really basically 2 rounds, right? Because it's a placement round and a scoring round. Or placement round and a scoring round, so it's basically 2 turns. But it's 4 seasons. The first season, you place your trees on the map. Depending on how many players you have, depends on which side of the map you use and how much of the map you use. And they go on the intersections. And whoever controls the most points for the number of trees that they have, if you look at the tops of the trees here, that's a tree that has 4 on it. So if you've got a tree that's 4 and Tommy has a tree that's 2 in that row, you get to win that row. And then it gives you a certain number of points. And you place the trees, taking turns. Then you score your rows and columns, which are paths through the national park, to see how pretty the trees are. And then after you get that, you score your round based on that, and then you move on from, that was spring and summer, then you move on to autumn and winter. And in the autumn phase, you place leaves based on a wind direction that's dictated on the edge of the map, and this can be on any side of the map. And I encourage people to watch the playthrough to see how this worked. So whoever got the lowest score in spring and summer gets to pick the initial direction of the wind. And then the winds fall from the trees in the direction of the wind. So if you look at this here, these have wind direction markers on it. So you pick the trees matching the number on the card, and you drop trees based on how many leaves you decide to drop based on a hand of these leaf cards that you have. And then you drop the leaves, and at the end of the game, whoever controls the most territory with their leaves wins.
And
right?
There's a cool boss.
There's a cool boss thing on the other side, right? So it's a pretty simple game. It's a lot simpler than the previous tree game we played. It played pretty fast. I think it played in about a half an hour, maybe a little less. And that's it. It's a pretty quick placement game. You can take over other people's territories with your leaves if you spend an extra leaf to do it.
And if you're tired of people taking over your territory, you just say squirrel.
You can say squirrel, and you can play the squirrel card, which will then put a squirrel on top of.
And it is yours forever.
A stack of leaves, and that territory is yours forever. And then if you can see the board here, we've got this area had a lot of red ones in it. This area had a lot of purple ones in it. This area had a lot of purple ones in it. This area had a lot of yellow ones. So we each won based on the areas here that are outlined in color and texture. We scored based on that. So you get a certain number of points for coming in first in a territory, a certain number of points coming in second in a territory, and if there are ties, then sometimes you don't get any points.
What about when you're in third?
You never get any points when you're in third. So it's the first and second player that is. So I think the interesting part of this game is that it was hard to determine how it was going to play out once the leaves started dropping. So that was really interesting. It goes really fast. It's a placement game, and then you score, and I think that's pretty cool. And that's it. There's not much to it. It's a really fast, fun game, and I quite enjoyed it. So what was your favorite part, Tommy?
The placing and taking over the regions.
Taking over the regions. Placing and taking over the regions. Gus, how about you?
I just like placing leaves.
You like putting the leaves down. Okay. My favorite part is when everybody had all their trees out, it actually looked like a forest. I thought that was cool. Except for the fact that you put all your trees in a line.
Which is not realistic at all.
I guess it could be. I liked the way it looked when after spring was done and all the trees were there. And then I did like the placement of the leaves. And the mechanics around taking over a pile of leaves. So that was kind of cool too. It was otherwise pretty easy, and I thought it was a lot of fun. The squirrel thing is sort of a. I thought the squirrel thing would come in to play more, but it really is sort of a last ditch effort that you want to take over one extra territory kind of thing. Who won? I think I won, right?
Yeah.
I won by 1 point. Tommy was 1 point behind me, and Gus was 1 point behind him. And even with Gus's interesting placement, which you can see from the playthrough video, even with his interesting placement, he still came in. He almost won. If he'd been paying a little more attention to where his leaves are going, he might have taken over more territory.
Yeah.
But actually, that said, you took over almost all the territories that you were adjacent to. If you'd spent a little more time down here putting down leaves, it was good. Things that we forgot to do. I forgot to take my tree off after I blew some leaves off of it. So that confused us for a second. And we got our turn order screwed up, so I lost it. Which is why I forgot.
We did not.
Yeah, we were going in this way, and then we switched and we went the other way. So
No.
that's why I got lost a tree.
We were going this way.
We were going clockwise, and then we
thought
switched to
were going the
counterclockwise,
other way.
and I
We
wasn't
thought we were
thinking.
going the other way.
As that may be,
We were always going this way.
you pay attention to who's got the next turn. I got behind a turn, so I had to throw some random leaves down. Hopefully, it didn't counter the balance too much. I mean, I guess it might have, because since I won the game. And that's it. It was a pretty simple game to learn, and it was a pretty fun game, a pretty simple game to play, and it played pretty fast. Like I said, I think we banged it out in about a half hour. Any thoughts?
No.
No? Are you ready to give it a score?
Yep.
What kind of score are you going to give it, Gus?
2.
You're going to give it 2? You're both giving it a 2? I'll give it a 2 as well.
2.
It's a solid 6. It's a solid 6. I don't think it's worth less than that. I think it's a lot easier to play than Arboretum. And it'll fit nicely in our collection of nature games. And that's it. So 6 cabbages. All right. You ready to do the outro?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Subscribe, like, hit the bell, Tommy.
Leave a comment if you wish.
Eat plenty of cabbages, not us though.
Because, again, they don't grow on trees. And again, you shouldn't be eating that ant's nest.
And again, cabbage wood don't exist.
Yeah.
Recycling.
Recycling. You're recycling your comments.
Bye.
All right. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.